they have Nintendo.com, Nintendo Switch 2. Now, about a week ago, I made a video where I kind of looked at the Nintendo Switch. And to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I did not expect the amount of leaking that Nintendo had. Okay, there must have been some busted pipes back home in Nintendo. Where I guess Mario wasn't in the office to clean up the mess, if you will. But ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo Switch 2 came out like a couple hours ago, and boy, we got a release date in 2025. Now you might be like, but Muda, why are you so excited about Nintendo? I thought you dislike... Look, there's a lot of stuff I dislike about, Nintendo's practices. But when it comes to handheld gaming, these guys have apparently got the world in its vice grip, okay? Now, the Nintendo Switch effectively has been one of the highest selling systems out there, okay? If you look at video game console sales, right? Let me just pull up pull it up, Jamie. All right, you'll find out that the Nintendo Switch is just behind the Nintendo DS, and the PlayStation 2 somehow has 160 million units sold. I think they re-audit this number because just make it 200 million, okay? Just make it that high. I know this is the most important thing PlayStation has for its hardware sales, but the Switch is killing it, okay? And it's killing it because, in my personal opinion, I think Nintendo has figured out that people love to play their video games in the palm of their hands, cozy on their couch, in bed, whatever, okay? At grandma's funeral, if you will. So anyways, they showcase this trailer over here, 2 minutes, 21 seconds, or 22 seconds if you round up the millies. But you can see over here, they've got the old Switch, and surprisingly, those leaks that we were talking about, yeah, those leaks seem pretty valid, okay? They seemed heckin' there. And it's because of how serious these leaks were. Nintendo was pretty aggravated about it. And I feel like they dropped this slightly earlier than they should have. So it's got the hinges that the kids are going to break off instantly. And of course, it goes all the way down. So if you want to just lay this thing flat, you pretty much can. And of course, the Joy-Cons are unfortunately still the same analog nonsense that I dislike about the Nintendo Switch 1 in the first place. Why can we not have depressive sticks? Okay, something that goes a little bit, I think it's concave, right in. Something similar to the Steam Deck, the PlayStation, the Xbox. Xbox being hands down my favorite hand controller that I could ever imagine for any video game system. But of course, it looks pretty much nearly identical to the Switch. They've changed the Joy-Con a little bit to having this new little port. And of course, one of the interesting things about these Joy-Cons is, yes, it really seems like you can use them as goddamn mice. So Mario Paint 2, that's gonna be a thing. Hopefully. And if you go down over here, they just click right into the actual Switch. And some of those connectors, like this one, I hope kids don't manage to end up actually breaking that off just because it's like sticking out in the open. I do expect that to be a little bbit sturdy, if you will. But of course, the further you go down into it, that is the Nintendo Switch 2. It is about what you expected. It's a Nintendo Switch, just a little bit sleeker, if you will. And of course, it also showed like one game in this as well too. Now I don't know if this is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Certainly doesn't look like it. Certainly could be the new Mario Kart that they probably silently announced. But yeah, it docks, it connects to your TV, and of course, it's a next-generation gaming system. Now, they did show some really cool things about this too. It's entirely on their website where, like, yes, you can actually see that it is, in fact, the good old Nintendo Switch 2. And one of the questions that I had asked, which they already kind of answered anyways, but I should elaborate further, backwards compatibility is a thing. Now, for somebody like me that loves physical media, I have collected so many Switch games that, for me, before the Steam Deck, this was my primary, gaming system for a time, because I played most of my RPGs right here. In fact, even recently, playing through the entire Final Fantasy, 1 to 6, I have the Switch version of the game, which I ended up getting before the price on that blew through the roof. It is an absolutely great way to play Switch titles. But of course, or play, any JRPG on the go, especially when you're putting in, 20, 30 hours into something. You can just play it for a bit, close the system, and then come back right where you left off. But of course, you can play Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Switch and or Switch games on the Switch 2, which it seems that they're using the exact same cartridge. So again, one of the issues that I could have with cartridges, while it's great for physical preservation, The issue that I might notice with this is obviously games are going to get bigger in size, right? As you know, the processing power on the Switch 2 increases, the games that are going to be running on it, like if this is a Cyberpunk 2077 at some point, which it may, I don't know, it's going to be using a much larger cartridge. One of the only issues with Switch games is when you buy them physical, sometimes developers opt for smaller size cartridges. And what that means is, like, let's say you buy a game like Metal Gear Solid H or the Master Collection, for example. You buy the Switch game and you find out the actual physical cartridge doesn't have the game on it. You have to download the patches, you have to download the entire game data separately alongside having the physical cartridge. So you get no benefit from the physical ownership. And you might as well have just bought that game digitally because if you gotta download it anyways, you might as well just download the whole thing and not deal with cartridges in the first place. Physical media that's neutered is not really physical media worth getting. It's just a license check with extra problems attached to it. Which again is the only question that I have asked. Is Nintendo going to force developers to buy the cartridge with the size that is determined into their game? Or are they going to let them half-ass it again? Which means physical media might actually be annoying on the Switch 2, even more so annoying than before. Which, this is a huge important topic for me. You know that I've made tons of videos on game preservation. I'm a huge advocate for it. And of course, when it comes to the only reason that I buy these handheld or like any of these systems is to have physical media. I think it's the best way to own your game. Nobody can take away a physical copy that works on a device like this. So that's one of the questions that I kind of have asking for it. Cartridges are obviously going to be more expensive the more data you need. And there's going to be developers that, you know, will cheap out, and there's going to be developers that won't. And I want to be able to know if Nintendo's going to make sure these developers or these third parties end up actually giving good physical media. Nintendo does a great job. All right, Nintendo does an amazing job with physical media. You can't say the same for people in their camp. And of course, this ends up getting a more closer look sometime down in April. So yes, if you're excited to know how the Nintendo Switch is going to fare, well, you'll find out more towards closer to tax season. Now, one thing that is interesting about this shit that I'm really excited for is that they actually do have an experience sometime in Toronto. And since I live very close to the city, well, reasonably close as you ever want to be to a big city, I could just take a quick 20-25 minute drive down and bring somebody with me, and we might be able to have a little Nintendo Switch 2 hands-on event. This actually would be the first hands-on event that I might actually go to. You do have to register for it, so I can imagine the bots getting ready. But I feel like as a Torontonian, or you know, in the GTA at this point, I should actually try to go to this thing. But yeah, this is the Nintendo Switch 2. And to be fair, am I excited for it? Yeah, I'm excited for anything in gaming. I'm excited for any new system that's coming out, obviously. Even if, like, I've had my issues with Nintendo, this is going to be something that I look forward to because I want to see what the processor baseline is for this. I know a lot of stuff has already been leaked, but at this point, it's much like the Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. Once I know that it's officially out there, at this point, I can wait pretty much indefinitely just to see how things go, okay? I'm sure Nintendo's going to have a lot of stuff to say. And to be honest with you, I'm excited now with the Steam Deck, with the Rogue Ally, with the Legion Go, with all these handheld gaming PCs, just how Nintendo's going to keep their throne in a world where they're actually facing serious competition, that handheld console hybrid gaming market, right? You know, docking your system and playing it on the TV and playing it in your hand is no, you know, shocking thing anymore. So Nintendo Switch has to actually provide some level of boon in this competitive field. How powerful is this thing going to be? Are we going to be playing shit like Cyberpunk 2077 on it? Are we going to be playing Grand Theft Auto 6 on it? That would be interesting to see. I would probably buy GTA 6 physically on the Nintendo Switch 2 just so I could play that shit in the palm of my hands and be playing it docked on a big screen anyways. Even if it may not look as sharp as the PS5 Pro version, just having it in that hybrid system might be enough for me to consider getting it for Switch. Even though that's highly unlikely, probably would have been announced a while ago, or you might have to wait a year, but I'm kind of rambling at this point. Switch 2 is here, and yeah, wanted to talk about it. It's pretty awesome. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it or dislike it, I am out.